It's time for Clubhouse Chatter. Here's Norm Ordez.
That's right. Good morning, and from the Eola Hills outside of Amity, Oregon, I'm Norm Ordez. As always, Brian Erickson, and this morning we are introducing you to Joe Piazza.
How's it going, guys?
It's going well. We met Joe at the Baseballism's grand opening last Saturday.
Yeah,
and
that
so
was a nice
Joe
one.
approached us, and we started talking baseball, and we're like, we'd like to have you come on and talk with us. We also saw our first guest, Jack Cain, at the function. Jack, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Anytime we can talk about baseball is a great day.
So for those of you who don't know who Jack Cain is a Northwest legend,
Right.
Former owner of the Portland Rockies. He worked with the Portland Beavers, also owned the Ben Phillies. Was it Ben Phillies?
Ben Phillies in 1981, right.
Yep. And, you always see Jack around baseball events in Portland.
Yeah, I see the name all the time. Anytime I'm looking at, Northwest stuff, baseball owners, things like that. Jack Cain is always a name that shows up.
So with opening day, just the first week of baseball season, I always found Jack at the stadium there, Civic Stadium, and always hunted him down, shook his hand, and Jack always had a song for me. And Jack, would you like to lead us in with that song?
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
So you
What
always
was that? I'm sorry.
you always had a song, opening day song. And
my opening day song.
Would you like to
I
lead
always
us?
sing this on opening day, and please forgive me because my voice is not the best. My kids used to laugh at me singing in church, but that's the way it is. Anyway, oh what a beautiful morning! Oh what a beautiful day! I've got a wonderful feeling. Today is opening day.
There
I
you
just
go.
at every opening day.
Yeah, yes, you did. And man, do you miss it? I mean, I know you'll end up probably over in Hillsboro, and you probably end up over at the some of the Pickles games. But baseball in Portland, I mean, it's not there anymore.
I really miss it, Norm. It was part of my life for 31 years, and unfortunately, sometimes things change in life, and you have to go with the changes. So life isn't always fair, but that's the way it is.
And you and I had talked about a little bit about baseball in Portland and whether there's a place for it, and we'll get with that here in a little bit. But I want you to share a couple of opening day stories. Do you have like a favorite opening day story?
Well, I have probably two favorite opening days. We operated in Bend for 14 years. The first opening day with the Colorado Rockies in 1992 was right at the top of my list. We had we opened with the Rockies a year before they had a club in the Major League. They started their farm system with us.
That's right.
And we had 32 media people from Colorado at our opening day. I mean, 3 satellite trucks in the parking lot, and it was just an exceptional time. All the executives from the Rockies bigwig organization were there, and just a very memorable time for us. The second most memorable day I had was in 1995 when we moved the franchise over to Portland, and we drew 20,600 people for opening day. That was really an experience as well. I'm sitting here looking at a picture we have of Civic Stadium with 20,000 people sitting in it. It was great.
Now, was that a Northwest League record?
Yes, it was.
I remember
think
that.
It still is.
Yeah, I think it is too, because I know Brian and I both were there for that one. And, Brian and I were talking about the Portland Rockies hat. And, it's so iconic. It's one of the best hats, I think, ever made, with the P&R and then the rose with the Mount Hood in the background. And and those suckers are hard to find now.
You know, it was my son Bob's idea to come up with that rose. You know, we had a very similar logo in Bend with the BR, with
Right.
the mountain behind it. But when we moved to Portland, my son said, you know, this is the city of roses. We need to incorporate the rose somehow in our logo. And we did that. It was very well received. You know, this is before the internet, and we used to sell have orders from mail orders, and in those days, to a lot of the cities on the East Coast, Brooklyn, New York. I had a friend who was walking in the street in New York one time and saw one of our calves walking down the street. Naturally, it was a big seller in Denver as well.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about Jack Cain as a youngster. So growing up, who did you follow, and did you have like a favorite player that you followed?
Well, as a youngster, I used to go to Portland Beaver games. They had a few games at Bond Street, and then when they moved to Civic Multnomah Stadium in those days, went to Multnomah Stadium. One of my fondest memories was sitting in the left field bleachers, and I got George Freese's 30th home run ball that year. So naturally, George Freese was a local idol that I had. You know, like a fool, I didn't keep that baseball. I went out and played catch with it out in the street. So I should have kept that. I wished I told George when he was alive that I got that ball, and he said, "Did you keep it?" And I said, "No, I played catch with it." You know, that was the way it was. As far as Major League favorites in those days, you know, the Yankees were always on the Saturday game of the week, and so the Yankees were probably my favorite team, Major League team growing up.
Now, who was the player, Joe here? Who was the player in the Yankees that you always followed the most?
Well,
time?
Mickey Mantle, of course.
The Mick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Hey, did you see where Bob Cerv passed away this week?
Oh, yeah, he did. I didn't see that.
Yeah, Bob Cerv, one of the Yankees, and he played outfield, and they kind of portrayed him like on the show 61.
Right,
you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
He was a pretty big part of that, and he ended up going from the Yankees to the Kansas City A's, and that, you know, he's 35 home runs, and Bob Cerv, he was in his 90s, passed away this week.
Well, funny Mickey Mantle story. Our first year in baseball in 1981. Actually, it was winter meetings in 1980. We were in Dallas, Texas, and my wife and I were in the hotel and entering the gift shop at the hotel, and out comes Mickey Mantle and Billy Martin. All right. So, hi, guys. How are you? You know, I was trying to be very cool. And the minute that we got around the corner, I said to my wife, "Do you know who that was? Do you know who that was?" It was kind of you know, at that time we were new to the game, and so it was really a thrill for me to see those people.
It's, you know, I find myself doing that every once in a while, you know, especially with like interviews. You know, you kind of get giddy for, you know, certain people. My big one is Dale Murphy.
Dale Murphy.
And I know Dale personally and have talked with him, and I still, you know, because, I mean, that was the guy I watched as a kid. That was my favorite baseball player, was Dale Murphy. And to this day, whenever I see him, man, I get the chills. I get all giddy. Sometimes I kind of
cool. You try to be cool, though.
Absolutely. You know, with a lot of others, it's just normal, just talking with some of my friends.
Yeah.
But Dale, you know, it gets a little, I get a little excited. And for this day, you know, still.
I had a similar thing. I've talked to a few guys in the game, but the biggest one was last year. I ran into Tony La Russa down in Arizona during spring training, and it kind of got that feeling of oh boy, I'm talking to Tony right now.
It is, and you know, we've been doing.
The thing is, these guys are stars, but they're just normal people. They're just people too.
See, and
you know, that's they're well known, but gosh, they're just normal people.
I remember when I first went to work in minor league baseball. I was clubhouse manager for the Lancaster Jethawks in 2006, and Brett Butler was our manager. And I remember the first time I ever talked to Brett over the phone, dude, I grew up watching you. And he's like, all right, stop. Rule number 1 is I'm one of the guys.
Right.
He goes, I put my pants on the same way you do in the mornings. I'm like, well, no, you don't. And it was like, well, what do you mean? I said, I don't wear pants. I wear shorts. And so, no, you don't put pants on the same way I do because I don't wear pants. But anyways, that was his rule. He was like, you know what? I'm just one of the guys. So I had a 17-year big league career. So what?
Right.
I'm one of the guys, and treat me like one of the guys. And I learned a lesson. I mean, and most of them that I worked with were like that. I mean, you get the occasional that think that they're holier than thou, but
there's a couple. But I got to talk to Willie Wilson last year. He's one of the most down-to-earth guys I've seen. I mean, he's just Captain Cool out there, I'll tell you.
Yeah, Brian's chuckling here.
Well, mine, Jack, is Ivan Kafori. When I see him, I get giddy.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Mine is Ivan Kafori. When I see him, I get giddy.
The big eye.
That's right.
I think this is like the first show that we've ever mentioned Ivan.
I used to work with Ivan over at 1010 The Voice, so I met you quite a few times when you used to come in there and at different events. So it's fun having you on again today.
What a promoter. Great guy, though.
Yes, he is.
So, what's your take on the game today? I mean, is there a player or team that you do you still follow the Yankees, and are there a couple of players that you really like to watch?
Well, I don't follow the Yankees like I did as a youngster, and actually, after spending 9 years with the Rockies, I try to watch as many Rocky games as I can on DirecTV. Great game last night. They beat the Dodgers and Kershaw.
Yeah.
Arenado went deep on them.
4-2, I think it was.
Yeah, I'm liking the Rockies.
It's funny thing. During that game, I got a text message from Kim Gideon, Ron Gideon's wife. Ron managed for us in Bend in '97, I think, or '96. Might have been '98. I'm not sure of the year. And he's now a big, great coach with the Rockies. I got a text message from Kim last night saying, "Hi, Jack, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting here with an ex-Portland Rocky player." And I knew via Facebook that a player that played for us for 2 years in Portland, Dean Marnell, an Australian young man, was in Denver. And I responded, "Who is it? Dean Marnell?" And sure enough, she sent me a picture of him sitting in the stands next to her. So,
how funny.
Some of those old ties are fun and enjoyable. Ron played for us. He was with the Phillies, or he signed with the Phillies, and Ron played for us, and then he managed for us. So that was quite an experience. In fact, he and his family lived with my son Bob.
Oh wow!
The summer that they were here, and so they became pretty good friends. His young man, his boy named Ronnie, we used to call him Bubba in those days. He's from Texas, and Ronnie is now playing with the Milwaukee Brewers. He's a first baseman. I think he led all the Brewers first baseman anyway last year in minor leagues with home runs out of the Pioneer League. So,
oh wow!
He's an up-and-comer. The kid we need to kind of watch for.
I've checked that out. Ron, now, I know Ron because he managed the Tri-City Dust Devils there for a while when they were a Rockies organization, part of the Rockies organization. And they would roll through Salem Kaiser. And so that's how I know Ron. And great guy. Ron's a great guy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it just... again, those memories are kind of special and something you really hold with regards,
So here's one for you now. Hal Roth. Do you remember Hal Roth?
No.
He is one of the finance guys with the Rockies. He is one of the bigwigs up there in the front office. Him and my wife's dad used to be best friends growing up in Michigan.
Oh, we darn. Yeah.
So there's my Colorado Rockies link.
Small world, isn't it?
Yep. Yep. And so, yeah, I like the way the Rockies, I mean, of course, it's all going to come down to pitching. And, there in Colorado, you're always struggling with pitching a little bit, because of the altitude. But there's no doubt that they can hit.
Well, I tell you, I was there, and actually we got to witness the opening day with the Rockies in '93 at Mile High Stadium. We got to witness that along with 80,000 of my closest friends, and then we also we're at the opening of Coors Field 2 years later, and it was like 20 degrees, and sure enough, the game goes 13 innings. And I'm like a fool, stayed the whole time. And it's kind of funny because we were sitting, I think, about the second or third row right behind home plate. And my son was watching it on TV, watching the game on TV, and he said, "You'd never stop eating." We were, we were in the background whenever the batter was at bat, and it was so cold, you had to do something, so we just kept eating and enjoying ourselves. But I guess I shouldn't say like a fool, because I being a true fan, never wanted to leave a game early, and so we stuck it out. Speaking of leaving a game early, we were in Boston for the World Series against the Mets, and some people were leaving about the sixth inning of the game, sixth or seventh inning, and you know how people on the East Coast, I shouldn't say are rude, but they're very outspoken.
Right.
And people said, "What are you guys, communists? How could you leave a World Series game early? What's wrong with you?" It just got all over these people, and it was really kind of comical.
Well, Jack, I had a question for you here.
Speaking of World Series, that was the time we got to witness. We went to New York and watched the famous Bill Buckner air, enabling the Mets to win that game, and that was an experience to say I witnessed that. Also witnessed World Series when Kirk Gibson hit his home run too. So two very, very historic World Series moments I got to witness in person. So that was a fun time.
Well, the one-legged home run off Eckersley, right?
Yep.
That's the one.
I mean, we were like everybody. We were in total disbelief that this had happened. And talk about the stadium going nuts.
Oh yeah, it blew up.
He was limping around the bases. I mean,
I remember I was living in Palm Springs at the time, and I was coaching high school football at a little private Christian school in Bermuda Dunes, and the head coach called me up, and he was like, "Hey, by the way, my son calls. Kirk Gibson's going to hit a home run." And like seconds after that, he launches it.
Oh, jeez.
And I mean, that was just one of those moments to where you sensed something special was about to happen.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and one of the greatest, Vin Scully, one of the greatest calls ever. And Vin, God, I already miss him.
It's going to be tough this year.
It's weird. It's weird without Vin this year.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to be over as a Dodgers fan. I don't know if I could even. I'd probably have to go through the other commentators. It'd sound too weird for me.
So. Let's talk a little bit about baseball in Portland. You and I had talked about this yesterday a little bit, and I think there is a spot for the right owners with a new stadium in Portland at a AAA level. I don't necessarily think Portland is ready for Major League Baseball yet. I'm not sure when they're going to be, but I think, and you and I had talked about, the Memorial Coliseum slot, about a stadium there. And, of course, that creates quite an uproar because it is Memorial Coliseum. It's an icon. What are your thoughts on it, Jack?
Well, first of all, the memorial to the veterans is down below at the Coliseum. Very few people walk by that. If that building had been torn down, they could put the memorial at the entrance of a ballpark and that everybody would see, and don't give me that memorial thing argument, because that just doesn't fly. Just the fact that it didn't happen, and unfortunately we lost baseball because it didn't happen. I do think that, I think that Major League Baseball in Portland would go. I think we would have the fan support. April might be a little bit dicey, but I do think that there is the fan support. I do question, however, if there's the big corporate dollars to support a major league team. I mean, there are only a few huge, big companies in this area, and I question whether there's enough corporate dollars to support a major league team. But it would sure be fun to see, and I'd love to see it. I don't know if it'll ever happen in my lifetime.
And we had talked about, baseball in April. I mean, as great as it is, it's sometimes pretty miserable in April, and we talked about, some of those Beaver games to where, you would have a couple of thousand out there, and, they'd be sitting in the drizzle and cold, and if they ended up coming back because they had such a miserable experience.
You and I talked the other day, Norm, about how, games in April are, 39, 40 degrees sometimes, and, you get back to your car after watching 9 innings a game. Hopefully you stayed the whole game, but you get back to your car, your hands are cold, your feet are cold, your nose is running. You didn't really have a good experience, and sometimes that caused people not to come back.
Right.
And then, sure enough, when the weather turns good, they kind of have it on the back burner. So, that was a downfall, but that's just something that we have to live with, and we're in Portland, Oregon. I do think Portland's a great baseball town. Look at the people that were turned out for at baseball lessons last Saturday. Unbelievable.
It was crazy.
Yeah, that was a big showing. Yeah,
it was. They showed up.
You could barely walk through the building. It was just packed. And by the way, I love it there. Don't have them on today, but I got several pair of baseball lesson socks, and
nice.
I got a three up, 3 down cap, and so I love the concept, and I'm just very happy for them that they're as successful as they are.
Yeah, those scorecard socks are pretty cool, aren't they?
All their stuff. I'm wearing their Baseball America apple pie shirt, and I got one of the Flagman hats on. And, of course, they sponsor the show, and they're great guys. Those guys, I heard a story, overheard a story, Kalen talking to a gentleman, and he asked, why Portland? And he's simply, because we're from Oregon. That's why. We want to stay here.
Well, that's why, but it just shows that Portland's a good baseball town.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Portland is a great baseball town. Portland was a baseball town before it was a soccer city.
Yeah, no kidding.
Soccer's always been big in Portland, but, baseball was, you go back to the Portland Mavericks and look at what Bing did with them. Of course, the battered bastards of baseball. Northwest League, man, they were packing the stadium.
Yeah, there was a point where baseball in Portland was really happening back in that era.
Absolutely. Sure. And Jack, you were a part of that. And that is
if it wasn't for the weather, AAA or long season baseball would be just very successful. And I shouldn't say if it wasn't for the weather, because that would be the only downfall that we would have here.
Right.
Well, the funny thing is they don't seem to mind at the Timbers games, though.
Yeah.
No matter how cold and wet it is, they still pack that stadium. So
the baseball fan is a little bit different than the soccer fan, though.
Most definitely.
And so, the Portland Timbers have done a great job. Of what they do, and I've never been to a Timbers game, nor do I ever necessarily want to go to a Timbers. I'm not a soccer guy.
I can't bring myself to do it.
But what they have done with Providence Park is a beautiful thing. They're packing that thing every night they play, and it's alive.
They have done such a fantastic job of marketing their product. hats off to them to the organization for doing what they've done. It's really good and it's good for the city too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't throw a rock without hitting a Timber scarf.
Oh,
in Portland.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's what I miss. I miss baseball in April at Civic Stadium. I miss, walking up, saying hi to Jack Cain, and I miss going down first base line down to the barbecue and getting my Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah, oh boy, weren't those good?
Those were really, really good. And I think one of the most underrated food items that you guys had. And
yeah, that was one of the toppers. Unfortunately, it kind of didn't help my weight situation at the time, but that's,
Right.
The Philly cheesesteaks. My wife Mary and I were back in Philadelphia. I think it was 4 years ago, and to watch the Rockies and Phillies, and I'll get back to that story in a minute. But
I remember that series.
Every day we were in Philadelphia for 7 days, and every day I had Philly cheesesteak.
Oh, how funny!
Were you a Pat's guy or a Geno's, or what was your favorite cheesesteak spot in Philly?
The reason we were back in Philadelphia at that time is the Phillies were our first team that we're affiliated with,
right?
And the Rockies were our last.
There you go.
As far as ownership, and so the Rockies were playing in Philadelphia. My wife had never been there, and I said, "Well, why don't we go back and catch a series with the Rockies and the Phillies?" So we did, and had a great time. In fact, I talked to Dan O'Dowd, who was the general manager at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You still see Dan on the MLB network now.
Yep.
He said, Jack, you missed the game. And I said, yeah, I missed the game, but more importantly, I missed the people. And I think that's a big thing. You made some good friends, and you miss seeing those people, at the annual baseball winter meetings and things like that. And got good friends in Ron and Carolyn McKee in Asheville, North Carolina. And I miss that type of thing. But anyway, Dan said to me, he said, Jack, I think I got something you might be interested in. What's that? He said, how about being an associate scout with us? Don't get paid any money, but you get to go to ball games. And I said, well, I don't know anything about scouting. And he says, I know you don't. But he said, you know the game. You know if a kid can play. And so for the last 4 years now, I've been doing that for the Rockies. It's kind of incredible.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice. That is pretty cool. And
they don't trust me with a radar gun yet, but
Now you went to Grant High School. Is that correct, Jack?
Yeah, I went to Grant. Unfortunately, I had knee surgery my sophomore and junior years in high school. So I played baseball my freshman year, and actually with the knee surgery was unable to play my junior and senior year, or sophomore and junior year. Played American Legion baseball the summer between my junior and senior year, and I discovered that those guys passed me up in ability. And, so I had to give up the sport, but still loved it. And I continued to play football, but that was a few months later, and by that time my knees had healed.
I went to Grant too. That's the reason I asked. I was looking forward to talking to you today. I had a similar experience as far as not getting very far, but I wasn't hurt. I just wasn't very good. So you really, I think we all want to see baseball back in Portland, and you really kind of brought it back at one point when it was in Bend. How could we do it again? How could we actually bring a team here? Who would we bring? Is that anything that, have you thought about that?
Not really. It's just that's a very difficult question, and I probably don't have the answer. I wish I did.
Well, that's okay. I was just giving you a hard time there.
Yeah. Back to playing ability, I had a hard time hitting a curveball, and then as a pitcher, I had a hard time throwing one. So,
yeah, that'll do it.
Without those skills, you're probably left behind.
once again, Mr. Jack Cain with us. Baseball and music. I think baseball and music go hand in hand. And do you have like, what's your baseball music?
Baseball. What? I'm sorry.
Music.
I have a hard time. Music?
Baseball and music go hand in hand. What is your baseball music? What is Jack Cain
Well, I think
listen to?
I think Willie Mickey and the Duke is Talking Baseball is probably one of my favorite baseball songs. I do get a little frustrated with the walk-up music of some of the players.
Yeah.
It just gets a little out of hand.
Right.
I remember in the old days, but in my youth, at a game, if a kid was from Texas, they on the organ they might play that. What's the Texas song?
Yellow Star of Texas or Yellow Rose of Texas?
Yeah. Yellow Rose of Texas. Or if a kid was from New York, they'd play something about New York, or something like that. And just some of the garbage that comes out of the PA system now when some of the players come to the plate. And the reason is they ask the players, what do you want for walk-up music?
Right.
Come on.
And
we're not there to entertain that player. We're there to entertain the fans.
Right.
That started, in the 90s, maybe somewhere around there, when they let them choose on their own?
Yeah, in the 80s, late
maybe.
80s, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Barry Bonds was the one that started really changing his walk-up music every other year and stuff like that, and it became kind of a popularity show at some times.
It's out of hand. I mean, some of the songs, like you said. So once again, Jack Cain. Hey, Jack, let's do this again soon. And I'm sure we'll run into you at a stadium somewhere along the season. And we love having on and talking baseball with you.
Well, it's a pleasure being on with you. And again, anytime I get to talk about baseball, it's a great day. I know this is a week late, but oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful feeling. It's baseball season, okay?
Once again, Northwest legend, Jack Cain. Jack, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, guys.
All right.
Pleasure talking to you,
Have
Jack.
a good day, Jack. All right. Jack Cain. Man, I could tell some stories about Jack. I mean, the guy's a legend here in the Northwest. And, especially baseball in Portland, and Brian knows this, and for me in April, we would always go to opening day of the Portland Beaver season, and I would find Jack Cain, and I would find Jack Cain down in with the people, and I would shake hands, wish him happy opening day, and he would sing me the
opening day song. Well,
and,
you can tell he's just a baseball lifer. I was reading a bio on him at one point, and he basically said, I didn't make it far enough playing to keep playing, so instead I bought a team.
Yeah,
that's kind of what everyone wants to do once they stop playing, I think. And
Brian, you got a memory?
Well, Jack's a great guy. Met him many times during the season, and the guy, you walk around the park, he's smiling, he's happy. They could be down by 14 runs, he wouldn't care.
Yeah.
He's got fans there. He wants to make sure they're happy, and he'd do anything to make them happy.
Absolutely. So I'd like to introduce you guys to Joe Piazza. Joe,
what's going on,
to the
Norm?
Show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
we met Joe at the Baseballism's grand opening
last Saturday.
And so tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a Portland, Oregon native. I'm a sports writer right now. I write at Call to the Pen for Fansided. Kind of the same thing that Jack. I'd like to do what Jack did.
Right.
I'm a baseball lifer. It's pretty much what I'll be spending the whole rest of my life paying attention to in one way or another. So I'm in school, I'm following baseball, I'm writing, and here I am talking with you.
So Clubhouse Chatter, we're going to do a weekly segment whenever we have a show. I can't say weekly, but whenever we do a show, we're going to have Joe come on, and he's going to kind of brief us about the week in baseball.
Yeah, give a little roundup of things.
And so what did you see? Opening day?
Well,
first week of baseball season, what did you see?
Well, it's hard to bring up opening day without talking about the fact that Madison Bumgarner hit 2 home runs on opening day, which is the first time a pitcher's ever done that
And
in
that
Major
second
League.
shot was
my
a
God.
bomb.
They both went over 100 and some miles an hour 114 miles an hour off the bat, something crazy like that.
Oh my god!
I couldn't believe it. I mean,
in the Giants lost.
and they lost. That's baseball for you.
Giants are 1-5 to start the season, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're having a tough go at it right
And
now.
so, what else did you see?
Well, yesterday, I'm proud of this as a Phillies fan. The Phillies broke a team record for 12 runs in the first inning.
Yeah, off of Oregonian Jeremy Guthrie.
Oh, was Guthrie pitching
Guthrie
for...
was pitching for the Nats.
That's,
Two-thirds of an inning. So 12 runs. He didn't record an out. They
I
scored.
think he recorded it. There was a sac fly in there. Was maybe the first run they scored, I think. But
Okay.
after that, it was
It was brutal.
But they broke it right. Yeah, they broke the gates wide open on that one.
It was brutal.
Yeah, so that was pretty big. I mean, it's. I'm a little surprised to see the Orioles 4-0 so far. That's not really.
Yeah, Jeremy Guthrie is now no longer a Washington Nat.
I saw that. I looked at that this morning, and I said I saw he got released. Yeah.
Well, can you blame him? I mean,
Well, one game.
it's
But,
baseball.
But
though.
no, I can't blame him. He's one of those guys. He's always seemed to show up somewhere. I mean,
Right.
he was with Colorado at one point. I'm pretty sure he spent a lot of time with the Royals back and
Yep.
forth, and I'm sure he'll be back again.
He'll be back. He'll be
He
back.
doesn't go anywhere.
No.
Yeah, he's
The thing that stands out to me, a couple of things, and I know it's the first week of the season, but the Rockies and Diamondbacks are hot.
right.
Okay, Giants are not.
Giants are cold.
Giants are cold. What else? The Orioles.
The
Is it
Orioles are undefeated.
The Orioles are
4-0.
undefeated. I picked the Orioles to win the AL East.
Yeah.
And so,
Really? You did?
Oh yeah, I did. Oh yeah.
Based on what? The pitching?
I think they have enough pitching and they can hit the ball.
Well, that bullpen is vicious. The bullpen
absolutely.
is killer. You
Absolutely.
got Britton, you got Brad Brock, and then Michael Givens.
Yep.
And they're killer. I mean, if they can get to the 6th inning with a close game or a lead, they should be good.
Right.
That lineup is ridiculous. Manny
Plus, they got
Machado
Buck
and-
Showalter. I mean, one of the best managers
Yeah.
in the game.
That's a classic
so-
old school kind of manager right there.
I think they're going to be tough, and that AL East is brutal, anyways.
oh God, I mean
And
that's
so I think I had the Orioles, followed by the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, I believe. I had the Yankees coming in fourth, but the Yankees might surprise.
I don't think they will.
You
I
don't
think
think so?
they'll be hot. They have a lot of Gary Sanchez. You can't talk about the Yankees without talking about Gary
Absolutely.
Sanchez. I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that they paid Aroldis Chapman $85 million.
Right.
Because they're still rebuilding. So I don't know. Matt Holliday, that's a great pickup. Chris Carter's going to hit 45 home runs in there for $3 million this
and he's going
year.
to bat 165.
Bat 145, exactly. Adam Dunn 2.0,
Yep.
But you talk about Toronto, they're 1-4 right now.
Yeah, Toronto's
And
1-4.
That's not something I expected
No.
with their pitching staff.
Absolutely.
And, I think Encarnacion was pretty instrumental in that lineup we're seeing, even with Bautista there.
Oh yeah, I agree.
That big bat, EE was doing a lot for him, and now he's in Cleveland.
Early season, I like what I see, and it should be a fun year.
It's we're seeing pitchers who rake again.
Absolutely.
Mad Bum hit the 2, and then the next day, I want to say Noah Syndergaard ripped a double down the
Yep.
line. A Reds pitcher, I want to say Finnegan maybe, he hit a home run off the Phillies too, which
Nice.
hurt me a little bit, but you got to give it to them. You throw them the fastball and they can knock it. What are you going to do?
Yep. Once again, Joe Piazza, and Joe will be back with us here. We got Tom Gamboa and Dave Bristol coming up later on in the day, and so we'll be back. So once again, I'm Norm, Brian,
Joe
Piazza. Any relation to Mike?
Allegedly, no, but
Okay.
I always like to tell people that. So
Absolutely, third cousin.
third cousin.
There you go.
I looked it up on FamilyTree.com or something like that. There's some distant relation.
There you go.
Not close enough to claim it though. So
All right, hey, we are sponsored by Baseballism. If you like my hat or my shirt, you can find it at baseballism.com. Also sponsored by Northwest Independent Baseball League, Dwayne Wangenheim. Hey, looking for players here in the Portland area, give him a call. You can find him at nwibl.org. Give him a call, look him up, and sign on and play. He also sells wood bats, and he gave Brian and I a couple of fungos, and we're loving them.
Oh yeah, I saw that down at the store.
Yeah, we're loving them. Also sponsored by Baseball Dudes, Chris Gazelle up there in Vancouver, Washington. To be the best, you must train like the best. Mitch Canham, Skipper Mitch Canham, down with the Modesto Nuts, building an athlete sports education based by pros. And his dad, Mark Canham, does our shirts for Clubhouse Chatter. Mark Canham with EMDM Designs. And you can find us streaming live at yamhilltoday.com. And if you want to shoot me an email, give me some ideas for some guests, shoot me an email, normbo18@gmail.com. And you can find us on Twitter, Clubhouse Chatter 1T, Facebook, iTunes, Podomatic, YouTube. Where else, Brian? Anywhere.
Everywhere.
Look for Clubhouse Chatter, you'll find it.
That's right. So, hey, we'll be back here in the 10 o'clock hour with Tom Gamboa.